We are going to reconvene at 7:10 and...
Also,
what?
did you decide on the expulsion?
We will do that later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So, Pledge of Allegiance, please. You join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, I'm sorry, report of closed session. I did that out of order. Sorry about that. There's nothing to report except discussion about property negotiations. Like to move the approval of the agenda.
I move to approve.
Second.
I move to approve the agenda.
Moved and seconded to approve. Would you please vote? The vote is 3.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally locked myself out.
Actually, the student can vote on this too, I think.
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
I'm the one that didn't
Oh, you're
vote.
one that didn't. Okay.
I'm voting. Yes.
Okay. The vote is 4 in favor, 0 against, and 2 are absent, Mr. Menziger and Mr. Stadler. We have student council report? Yes.
Good evening. So tomorrow night is our back to school night and meeting begins at 5 with Meet the Administration. Classroom visits start at 6:15 with 10 minutes for each classroom. This next week is our Spirit Week and it begins with our opening assembly on Monday. Homecoming nominees will be presented along with the rest of the assembly. And then the rest of the week is our dress up days, which each class wears different clothing for different items. On Thursday, for example, the freshmen are doing babies and sophomores are the children. Juniors are business wear and seniors are senior citizens. The homecoming game is this Friday, where whichever class shows the most spirit will be given an award. The game is on the 27th at 7 o'clock versus Irvington, followed by our homecoming dance. Newark Days is coming up this weekend. Students and parents from the senior class and our link leaders who come and introduce our freshmen are volunteering all throughout the weekend. They'll be monitoring parking, assisting with groundkeeping alongside the Newark Days committee, just to help raise money for the senior class.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Dr. Markin, do you have some announcements for us?
I do. Thank you, President Crocker. And thank you, Nicole. You stole quite a bit of my thunder, but I appreciate that. My report will pale in comparison to yours. I'll skip the Newark Memorial High School back to school night and Newark Days, since you so ably mentioned both of those. I would like to remind the board and let the board know that we are in the final throes of completing our safety plan. You remember, the board remembers last spring we worked with Mr. John Warren to first get our school district in compliance with our safety plans, which was quite an arduous task. And this is the result of that, a comprehensive school safety plan, Senate Bill 187. And from there, Mr. Warren did a presentation at our back to school gathering and also at our management retreat in July, and is regularly meeting with our departments and our schools and are putting together, this is the hands-on called the Go Kit. This, every school and our department, our district office will have this, and this is the what to do in case of and who's responsible, and it's a tremendous amount of work and actually a very good living document to provide a hands-on help for all of our staff, both in their school site, in their department, and in their homes. So really want to thank Mr. Warren and all of the staff that have worked so hard to put this together. I think it's a great, and this is kind of the first look. So this is to go back in his hands, and then they'll be doing the last touches and having meetings with all of the staff, determining who will fulfill each role.
And so this is found at each site?
Yes, this will be at each site and in the district office. So who's responsible in case of what emergency could take place. So we really appreciate that. Also, I would like to mention that Newark Junior High School has 2 STEM classes that have started this year. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math, a class both 7th and 8th grade. And I was actually able to go to their back to school night last week and sit in there, and it was one of the first times that parents gave a standing ovation at the end of their back to school presentation. They are so excited, as are the kids, to have these unbelievable opportunities, and I was able to sit in Mark Dieter and Carrie Knight's class. They are very excited. It is costly, so we are looking for ways to help fund some of the work in terms of robotics, and I will be bringing the board some information in the near future on how we're looking at that. But very excited to see the options in science, technology, and engineering, both at Newark Memorial, at McGregor, and at Newark Junior High School. Speaking of Newark Memorial High School, I've asked the staff to give a presentation on the Naviance system and the AP Equity Grant. So that will be coming up in a staff report soon, because as the board is aware, the Fremont Bank Foundation funded Naviance, and the school is unbelievably excited about what that is offering to all of our students. So what they want to do, and what I'd like them to do, is do like a hands-on demonstration for the board and for the community to see how great that system is and what we're doing. So, and now also we will invite the Newark Bank Foundation as well. And lastly, you know, I was talking to Dr. Hilberg today, and we were talking about all of the things that our school district and most of the school districts in the state of California face. However, since we're here, we're only interested in Newark Unified. And when you look at some of the unbelievably large initiatives and issues, I'd just like to read a few of those. The local control funding formula, which is the first in 30-some years, a quantum shift in the funding cycle for school districts, that, as we heard in our meeting prior, we're getting still some of the regs not until next June. Common Core, which is a completely revolutionary way that is going to require us to change instruction. That is the most difficult thing to do, is to change our instruction. Smarter Balance, which will require us in 2 years to have technology-based assessment systems in our school district, which means in terms of technology, we have to clearly ramp up our game. In addition, next generation science standards are coming out, which are critical. We will have a new accountability system. So Dr. Hilberg and I were talking, be careful what you wish for, because you just may get it. So there will be no API or AYP, but there's going to be something. And we will certainly need to comply with it. The Smarter Balance ties in with our technology needs. And of course, we have Jenny Rios sitting in our audience, who is from Vanner Construction, and we are undertaking a very massive bond project. So when we look, and Dr. Hilberg and I were talking today, that if you took any one of those initiatives, any one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I've highlighted, could take a school district an entire year to implement. We are really being asked to do all 7 of these within probably the next couple of years. So in terms of staffing and focusing on what we need to focus on, these are the things that we as a board and as a school district need to focus our efforts, because in my 30 years, I've never seen this many initiatives that are this large to be enacted this quickly in a school district. So what we've determined to do is either in staff reports or work study sessions to bring the board along in our thinking and the state's thinking in terms of these big initiatives and what implications they have for our school district. So it's exciting, terrifying, all at the same time. And that's my report.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. We're now to a point where we're asking for public comments on non-agenda items. This is the time when people in the public can address questions they have about items that are not going to be in the agenda. If you have a question about an agenda item, when we get to each item, you can ask those questions. We do have Mr. David Bowen, would like to speak. Okay.
I think it's on your agenda because I didn't know Mr. Wynn was doing survey for the school district. I'm the Dan Watch at McGregor,
Oh, yes.
and they had a home inspection, which I liked, but the time limit they have here for me to repair things, since I can't do it on my own, is unrealistic. Would you like to see it?
I'm sorry. What do you have?
It's the report.
Okay.
The report of the safety issues that need to be done, I have to hire out because I'm not physically able to do them no more due to the injuries I suffered at Bunker Elementary.
We don't,
You couldn't contact me.
Right, right.
Yeah, I know, I've talked to you, but I mean, she put down 30 days to complete it on here.
Yeah, you can bring it to me. and we'll
Okay,
discuss.
okay.
Okay.
the board, do you mind?
Yes, go ahead.
The board is not allowed to take action on non-agenda items.
Yes.
We listen and refer you to staff, and, you know, that's, we always want to hear from you, but that's why we don't want
Yeah.
to engage.
Okay. And then one other, do you have my parking lot passes for the, do you sign them? Okay. So I can get on my property at McGregor, do the Newark days. Thank you.
That's a good point. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're now going to consent. Anybody else who want to speak? Okay. We'll now go on to the public comments on, the consent agenda. The first item is the personnel items. Personnel report is the one item.
I move that we approve the personnel report. Item A1, is it? Yeah.
I second.
Mr. Rodriguez seconds. Mrs. Thomas moves. Any questions or comments? I guess vote on that, please. The vote is 3, 4, 0 against.
Actually, I
Actually-
was supposed to block you out.
Yeah.
You were a non-voter.
Okay.
I'll get it next
Okay,
time.
so 3 for it, 0 against, and 2 absent and 1 abstain. Okay. All righty. The non-personal items B. Does anybody have any of these items they would like to pull?
Yeah, I'd like to pull B2, please.
B2, Mr. Rodriguez. Anybody else?
I'd like to pull B12.
B12, Ms. Thomas. All right. May I have a motion, please, for B1, B3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11?
I make the motion that we approve those items.
Okay, Mr. Rodriguez moves. I'll second it. Second. May I have a vote, please? The vote is 4 to 0 with 2 absent. Mr. Stadler, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez, B2?
I talked to Mrs. Nielsen on this today. I can't approve based on the verbiage. I don't know, Mrs. Nielsen, were you going to come up with something, or, because it isn't in, there was no update or anything, I don't know. In our workshop that Veneer put on, we talked about the fact that a lot of community members are very concerned about the classrooms. And we talked about how the sequence would go, that, we do the main units first, and it's all tied into to doing the HVAC units. And all I wanted was that wording to be in the item that we're approving. So without the wording, I can't vote on this, which means we'll have to bring it back to the first meeting in October.
We're talking in terms of wording for understanding for people reading it, or content?
It's just basically what I, as a board member, what I like to see in there. When somebody takes this time, in this case, it was a board workshop, to give me the rationale of doing the HVACs first, and why the classroom would be affected by it, and then, so in order to do the classrooms, we need to do the HVAC first. So I think you could probably explain it better, Ms. Rios. But the way the wording is, I just, I can't vote on this right now.
What wording are you referring to?
If you look at the purpose, the background, the details, okay, you have that. Nothing in here talks about classrooms, and that was part of a big part of our conversation was in the board workshop was about classrooms.
Well, the high school lists buildings. That would be classrooms.
Yeah. So all I was asking is that what was discussed in the workshop, and part of it be part of the of what's in here.
But it says here, for example, new roofing and HVAC upgrades snow. We were told that the upgrades, that all the HVAC systems would be operational for the classrooms. The upgrades, though, would take place when they fix the buildings. So in the proposed sequencing, it says new roofing and HVAC upgrades.
It doesn't say just for the multi-purpose rooms. It says for the school.
Right. I just want the word classroom. I'm sorry, I'm being a pain on this, but, the word classroom must have been mentioned about 50 times at the workshop, and I don't see it here anywhere.
Can I add a comment?
Yes.
The EMS system that's scheduled in fall of 2014 will affect the classrooms, and I agree with you that we can add that in the language of the fall 2014 work.
That's all I wanted. Okay.
So that's easy to do. We can do that.
So
But
what
it
are we
isn't
adding
here.
where?
Okay, if we can just add it, we can do it as a board, we can add that on, okay?
Okay,
So anytime it says Ms.
Ms. Beal, she can help us, okay? But if you want to come back with the other wording, then we can put it over to the next meeting.
What would happen if we starred all the HVAC items and then made a footnote indicating what that was?
As long as it's classrooms, that you talk about classrooms, which is what we spend a lot of time in a meeting, and then I'm fine. I just want to make sure that, our community knows that, we talked about classrooms, and, even though the workshop was open to everybody, it was really just us, okay? For whatever reason, we don't get that much community people come to the workshops. But I want everybody to see when they look at this, and maybe that's only one person a year, I don't know.
Right.
But I want them to see that classrooms was part of our discussion,
So if
and
it
that's
said
important to us.
HVAC upgrades for classroom buildings,
Whichever way.
I'm happy to modify the language and to include classrooms. The fall 2014 work on the EMS system is really what helps improve the temperature and comfort of the classrooms.
Right, and now that came out in the
And so that's
meeting.
what needs to be written under that scope of work.
Right.
The other ones are units that are being replaced on the buildings. They're not, that just so happens they're not classroom buildings, but the EMS system is what provides the temperature and comfort control.
Right.
So I'm happy to add that.
Okay.
So for us to be able to approve it tonight, what would we put on the summer of 2000 or 2014?
It's actually fall 2014, I believe.
Well, they've got the ESMPR buildings at the high school.
That's
You
for
also
summer.
have classroom buildings.
Yeah, and then under, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but under fall of 2014, it should say EMS.
Right, control
And
replacement.
That's the energy management system, and that is what provides the, all of the,
So just put a dash and put,
Or parentheses,
maybe in
or
parentheses.
parentheses, classrooms, offices, you know. Just broader than district-wide, because that's not specific to the classroom. But if we just in parentheses put classrooms, office, et cetera.
That'd be fine.
okay, that will do it.
Does that work?
All right. Then would you like to make a motion with that amendment?
Yeah, but so,
We can get this corrected and republished.
okay, so in order for me to do this, then my motion would be to accept it, but I would need the, as part of the motion, it read what we're going to do. Okay, so can somebody help me with that?
Move to accept B2 with the
I don't want to be generic
Modification.
and just put,
the modification of the EMS control replacement would indicate,
In parentheses, after district-wide, in parentheses, classrooms, offices, et cetera.
okay,
Okay.
that'll do it.
okay.
So it's just a matter of putting, is there any place else on this document where that needs to be done?
Also on the
The
backup,
roofing.
on the group,
The roofing.
on the grouping, that's an Excel spreadsheet. I'll add it there also.
I'm sorry, what was the date
It
on
would
that?
be page 3, where it lists out exactly what everything is.
Okay,
And,
we don't have that document with us.
oh, okay, it was another
Wasn't attached
attachment.
there.
Oh, okay, but I'll correct that also.
Okay.
Okay, I'm fine with it
Okay,
then.
we're all set then?
Right. So I move that we accept B2 based on Mrs. Nielsen adding information about the classrooms.
Okay,
Okay,
for the EMS,
for the EMS, right.
okay.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Nielsen.
Would you vote, please?
Got it.
The vote is for.
Thank you.
For,
Mrs. Nielsen.
0 against, 2 absent, Mr. Menzinger and Mr. Sadler. Ms. Thomas, B12?
Okay, I really like the work that was done. I like the spreadsheets. I know the two of you worked on this together. And so before I vote yes and make the motion, would you just maybe go through a small discussion about how you went about with the various selection criteria and why we always didn't pick the lowest bid, that kind of thing?
So it turns out that our evaluation criteria, there was 2 bids. So bid number 1, we were recommending to award to CDWG, and that is a very competitive price. And so we put in a weighted point system for each of the criteria. Cost was, of course, a consideration, but we didn't want it to be the only consideration.
Okay.
On the wired technology, which is bid number 1, Larry tells me that it's less important to have the level of support that we would prefer to have on the wireless technology on bid number 2. So some of those, Larry could probably speak to the specifics of the Ruckus system and the warranty and the manufacturer support and all of that goes with it. You want to speak to some of that?
So on the wireless, we elected to choose, as you can probably tell, the Ruckus bid, which came in, I believe, a little bit more, some amount more than the HP bid and a couple of the other bids. What we really liked about Ruckus is we believe their technology will do 2 major things for that the district will benefit from. One, from the teacher and student perspective, I think it will grant greater connectivity, better usage for them. So at the end of the day, they're not sitting there in their classroom trying to troubleshoot why their computer won't connect to the internet, but it should just work, hopefully. We believe it'll provide a better level of service in that regard. And also from our usage of both of them, we have some HP equipment already, some wireless equipment at a couple of schools. We got a good chance to spend a couple of months with the Ruckus technology and test it, and we were really, really impressed with the things it was able to do and how it functioned. We think it'll provide a total cost of ownership that will end up being less than the HP because of the way the technology in them works. And additionally, one thing that is a little hard to quantify in a spreadsheet or something is one thing they do better is their devices provide better signal strength per access point we pay for, which is the big dollar item on the ticket. So we should hopefully need less of them in the long term. If we decide we need more in the future, we'll hopefully need less of them because of the way they work than we will need of the other products that were being offered.
So the locations of them now, is it overkill because you have a better signal strength with the Ruckus system?
It's so it's a little confusing to explain, but the way wireless works, if you put too many in, so people think if I need more, if I have a problem, I'll just add more. But when you have too many, they talk too much and they overlap on each other. So too many can be a bad thing. The Ruckuses work in a better way that a single one is able to provide a longer range of coverage, and because of that, we can have less of them and have less of that overlap and interference from each other. If that hopefully makes a little bit of sense.
Does that interact with the first bid, though, about where you put the wiring?
So the first bid powers all the future technology bids that will come. It powers the wireless. It's required for the surveillance bid. It will be required for anything we do that talks to the network. That's kind of the, even though you don't see it, it's the heart of the whole system. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it will, that's a different level of how it talks to that. I was speaking more to the wireless access points themselves and not how they talk to the wired equipment. Sorry, I don't know how to
Larry,
quantify that better.
I understand.
Even I did, right?
Anyway, I'd like to move approval unless some of you have any comments or questions.
I have no comments. Do you have any comments?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Great
Nancy
work.
moves approval. I'll second. Would you vote, please?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Did you want to speak to it?
No, just, in looking at the bids, what did you receive? I think 7, was it 7 bids or?
I believe it was 7 on the wired and 9 on the wireless. We had a few
Okay.
more respondees on the wireless.
So on the first one that you got 7, did you, did the one that we picked, did it just, was it so much better than the others or?
Yeah, if you just look at the price
Right, the
row,
price
it
is really
was
200,000.
phenomenally lower. I didn't expect it to look like that.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Good. You ready to vote?
Yeah.
Okay, vote please. The vote is 4 in favor, 0 against, 2 absent. Mr. Menzinger and Mr. Stanley. Does any board member have a comment on any of the items?
I had a quick one. I really had a nice conversation with Mrs. Nielsen this morning on several things. But I normally, if I have questions on something that's on the agenda, I normally call earlier. It just so happened that she was ill last week and I wasn't feeling well yesterday. But I really am amazed on how Elaine and Ms. Rios work together in here, and it just bodes well for us, I think, as we move forward. And I know Larry's in the middle of a lot of stuff, as Betsy. So it's a nice team effort, and it's all good as far as I'm concerned.
And I love the fact that you are very conservative. You're fighting for every dollar. And that's an important piece to me. So I do appreciate that, Larry. You also making sure that we're not getting overcharged. Nothing worse than buying something at the end of the day figuring you could have gotten it cheaper someplace else. Something for the same quality. Good. Nancy, did you have any?
No.
Do you have any?
Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Just thank you.
We'll move on then. Employee organizations, I see no one's here. I got a call from Ms. Condon saying she didn't have anything to say, so she wanted me to say hello from her. And so they will, I assume, is there anyone here from NUMA that wants to speak? I don't see anybody. Okay, then we'll move on to new business. Dr. Markin.
Thank you, President Crocker. Quite a few donations to Newark Unified. Interesting amounts, however. $300.01 from PG&E Campaign for Community Matching Gift Program to Music Elementary School. $1,008 from the Bank of the West Employee Giving Program to Newark Junior High School. $119 from Save Mart Supermart Shares Card to Music Elementary. And then for the back-to-school kickoff that we had at the Commons at Newark Memorial High School, De La Rosa and Company donated $1,000, TBWB $150, and emergency tool bags and gift certificates from Adis Architects and gift certificates from Lozano Smith. A donation of gift bags and gift certificates from Dennis Walliver and Kelly, and gift baskets and gift certificates from Cargill Salt, and 40 teacher bags and gift certificates from Dutra, Cerro, and Graydon. And we were able to give all of those out to our employees at that day to kind of go along with our theme, and I think it was a very, very good morning, and we appreciate our partners and their contributions to starting off our school year in such an excellent way.
And it was a fun day.
It was a fun day.
It was a fun day.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. May I have a motion, please, to accept donations?
So move.
Mr. Rodriguez moves.
Second.
Mr. Thomas seconds. A vote, please. The vote is 4 in favor, 0 against, 2 absent, Mr. Benziger and Mr. Stadler. The next item is the student expulsion case E1314-1. This is a continuing expulsion from another district.
I move we accept the staff recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the staff recommendation. A vote, please. The vote is 3-0. 1 abstain, the student member, and 2 absent. I guess we're down to the very end of the meeting. I can't believe we've ever had such an early meeting. Do you have any reports that you'd like to make? Mr. Rodriguez.
I'll just, Member Thomas and I, she invited me to go with her to the ROP meeting that we had. The meetings are normally on Thursdays, but today, because they're going to a conference on Thursday, we had the meeting today. But Mrs. Thomas, they have a reserve because they've put money away because of uncertainties. They have a reserve of close to 20%.
22.
Right, 22%?
That's close.
And Member Thomas actually said that she wanted to spend some of that, which is a miracle in itself, okay? Because she likes high reserves. But they're looking at exciting things that they can spend some of that money, and so they'll be having conversations with Dr. Markin and with the principals at the high schools to look at ways that they can, either fix classrooms, labs, or do different things. And we're hoping that they provide more services to our kids, especially at the alternative site. So, Nancy, go ahead. You can piggyback. There was other stuff.
Oh, well, it was a good meeting because I think Ray and I kind of grilled them on the fact that they had 22% reserve, and they said, oh, we're going to have some plans, and so we really pushed on them to include the high school principals from the 3 districts, and so that these reserves could be used for startup funds for new programs that are always take more funds in the beginning for startup that benefit our kids. And so I think, to get Mr. Moronis involved in, that's our money too. It's our money, and we need to make sure it's spent wisely, and that means we need to have our staff people involved in how it's going to be spent. And so it was a pretty good meeting in that regard. And thank you, Ray, for coming along. I have a couple things. If you're done, are you done?
No, go ahead. I just have a couple after you're done. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to remind the 2 of you, and I'll call Member Mensinger and Member Stadler that on Sunday at Newark Days at 4 o'clock, we have the cake cutting. And so that's a joint effort and, you know, among all of us board members to cut the cake and help pass it out. And Jan, you always help me at about 2 o'clock. I go pick up the cakes at noon, and at 2 o'clock we start putting forks in them and getting them all ready to send out. So I want to make sure you do that. And then I wanted to mention that I went to a Lara Lake in Rosemont area meeting, and their speaker was Mayor Nagy, and in the course of talking about the city, the school district came up, and I raised my hand and I stood up, and I told him, I said, we had a phenomenal year. Our test scores went up when the state test scores went down. In general, that we had an elementary school that was the highest in terms of its growth in all of Alameda County. I just sang our praises because we have such a good story to tell, and everyone just clapped. They were just so happy to hear that. And then, so today at my Rotary meeting, it was mentioned that the speaker for next week fell through. So I came and I went to Celeste's office, which was dark, and Celeste, your secretary or your admin, I mean, said that you're going to be at a conference, and maybe Dr. Markin is too next Tuesday. But if anyone from the district can come and speak at that meeting and fill in and tell this wonderful story we have to tell about us, and the mayor will be there, I think. It will have people that from the city and business leaders are, they need to hear this. And sometimes we don't get a chance to talk to people like that. Optimist would be another good place for us to be telling the story. But is anyone available Tuesday?
I'll look.
Right, but I am actually going this weekend to see my son and grandson, and I'm going to actually take Monday and fly in Tuesday morning. So what I can do is check and see when I'm flying in on Tuesday, because you're right. I think that would be those are the venues and the opportunities and avenues to share that news. So let me double check.
Okay. 1 o'clock, even if you can't make it
Yeah.
for lunch, 1 o'clock
Right.
is when the speaker comes on. It's 20 minutes.
Okay, let me
you.
double check, and we'll we'll make sure that someone gets there.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Ray, did you have something?
Yeah, Newark Days, this Saturday, Dr. Markin already mentioned it. So we'll be getting together at what, 9 o'clock approximately?
9 o'clock?
Yeah,
o'clock,
in
okay.
fact, I have tickets for getting into parking.
Okay.
So let's hope I put the right envelope in here. I do. So this is parking tickets. Here we go.
Thank you.
Are you going to be at
I'm
Newark?
not.
You're not going to be at Newark
Right.
Days? Okay, and that's
We'll
just...
pass.
Where's lot Y?
Pardon me?
Actually, I just have 5. Okay.
I'm going to walk down
You're
there.
going to walk down? Okay. You think Gary probably needs to drive, but traditionally, Lot Y was beyond by McGregor. Wasn't Lot Y by McGregor? I'm not sure.
Normally, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Where's Lot Y? That's where the pass is. And I think
I don't
they've
know.
had you park before. It's not by the community center. It's beyond where the staging is.
And then
the
what, they
ending.
transport you to the start?
You can do that, or you can walk, or you can find people to do it. That's part of the problem. In the past, Janice Schaefer's taken us, and I don't know if you've got a wife that could,
Sure.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure we'll work it out.
Who's going to represent the district?
Celeste, Dr. Hilberg, Mr. Irwin, and Liz and John will be there as well,
Great.
driving.
Yeah,
Great.
we'll work it out.
Okay.
Okay.
So, is it 9 o'clock we need to be there?
That's when
That's when it starts.
That's when they start, so I would
8:30,
say
there's breakfast?
8:30 to 8:45.
Okay.
And then
They
I'm sorry.
usually have, no, they usually have like coffee and some.
Right.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Things
there
in the
was
library.
In the
pastries.
library, yeah.
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 That's being taken care of.
Okay, the other thing, I've had the opportunity to go to a few, back-to-school nights. And the new principal at Lincoln, I apologize, what's her name?
Angela Ehrlich?
Ehrlich, Ms. Ehrlich. I thought you did a great job. That's all our principals did. And then Mr. Winton was, I think you were at every meeting, every one of those, okay? But it's nice the way Dr. Markin gets the staff to attend, and I thought they were all very well received, the ones that I had a chance to attend. And then Graham going to those, but and then the junior high school. So it was just nice. I think all of them that I've went to, they were packed.
Mm-hmm.
So the participation from the parents. So it's obvious that everybody is really in tune on being to these, and so it's all good. Thank you for doing that, by the way. And that's all I have. Thank you.
The Y parking space is behind Whiteford, the parking space behind Whiteford. So that would be the place that would be. Thank you. Good, and I wanted to say that I had a chance to get around to some of the back-to-school nights also. And a couple of times I was able to meet with the parents in their meetings. They had pulled out the parents for the sixth graders that were going to be going to science camp. And it reminded me of how expensive that whole process is. And it's one of my most favorite things about this district is that 100% of the sixth graders have a chance to go to science camp. And I think it's a universal experience that is priceless. But I think we may need to see to look as a district a way of supporting this, because it is a universal field trip. And although no student is turned away because of not being able to pay, there may be some unwritten pressure to parents to give other reasons for their child not going. And I want to make sure that every child has a chance to go. Did you go to science camp when you?
I did.
Where did you go?
We didn't go to Foho. We went to the one a little bit further away. It was a couple hours away. It was snowing. It was really, really nice.
By
Especially
Sonora?
'cause
That was
Canada
up, yeah, that was, and I think that the other problem that I saw is the fact that the ones that have the fall dates have a problem with raising money. And so they go into deficit spending, which I think we need to look at too. So I think this whole business of science camp, I would like to see us being creative about how we can support that. Because I think it's a universal experience that we need to keep. And I don't want it to disappear because the parents got tired of raising $20,000,
Right.
which is what happens is all their energy goes to that. And
Well,
some schools are much more successful than others.
Right. And we've established our I think 3 or 4 of our elementary principals, Ms. Paredes, Mr. Dunn, Ms. Sert, and who am I missing? To be a subcommittee to bring all of the data and information with recommendations back to the elementary principals and then forward. Then we'll bring that forward in a Friday update and back to the board with the information, because you're right. I mean, there's all sorts of factors. So they're already working on that, and probably in the next, I would say 3 weeks or so, they'll be coming back with their report and recommendations.
Good, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.
The other piece is I had a chance to watch a PTA, I'm not sure it's called PTA, but a parent group. I was walking past Bunker and I saw a lot of cars, so I stopped in. And it was really wonderful to see how they were doing it. It was just very fair. People had a chance to speak. People were not hitting each other over the head because they disagreed. They all had their chance in a very civilized manner to give their points of view, and then they voted and they went with the vote. And it was a very active group, and Bunker's had a very active parent group for a long time, but it was very pleasant and very productive. And it made me feel very good about, the parent group. And I think this is the way parent groups should be functioning. They had checks on money taking in. They had a spreadsheet for all the money being there. So all the things that we want a parent group or an affiliated group to do, they were doing. And I think that we need to say job well done, because That's exactly what we expect, and we might send some people from some schools over there to watch how it functions.
That's great.
Good.
Thank you.
Could I add one more?
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Oh, when you're done.
I'm finished.
Three of us are going to CSBA workshops on Thursday and Friday, and I have to tell you, we have a lot of homework, Jan, if you've...
Oh, I noticed, I
oh,
did.
my gosh.
I know, I pulled it down.
Oh, geez, and the one on curriculum and instruction is all about local control funding formula. So we will, Mr. Stadler and Ms. Crocker and I will come back all excited about our newfound knowledge about LCFF, and we'll send you a report.
Perfect.
Did Mr. Stadler contact you, Ms. Warren? He has not, okay. I assume he's coming back. I don't know when is he planning to come back? I don't know. Okay, we'll give him a call and see if what's happening with that. Good, nothing else being said, I would like to adjourn the meeting at 7:55. Not even 8. Oh.
Good job.